We're going to follow up on a conversation from last week, expand it, and see if we can find some solutions.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
And my guess is we'll find no solutions, but at least we'll lay out some of the issues. Welcome into my state of mind. As you may know, if you watch this program on any kind of regular basis, on Fridays we kind of lay low on the topics of the day and actually have conversations that hopefully are a little bit more productive and meaningful. Not that the whole week isn't, but sometimes things happen and I say, let's follow up and talk more at length. And last week Kristen was in and she was sharing some time with the executive director of the Coalition for the Homeless, right? And the conversation was about housing and her specific challenge and her decision that she's going to move out of the state of Rhode Island. So we decided afterwards that we would, I think we actually said so on the program, that we would expand the conversation, and my producer Lexi was like, and you know what? We're going to add Travis because he can explain the whole thing. Now Travis and I have a little thing going on. He's very cocky about his generation of millennials, and you're going to meet them both. But here's the I don't know, the visual, if you will, that brings the conversation up. So that number, $19 per hour, is the amount of money that you've got to make, estimated in Rhode Island, to be able to afford a couple of bedroom apartment, ballpark, okay? And this is data that the Coalition for the Homeless comes up with on an almost annual basis, I think, to kind of keep tabs as to what the challenge is. Now, Kristen was here, and Kristen is in the other seat now. I'll put her in the hot seat. Welcome. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Kristen Roy is leaving, she says. She's a pharmacy tech by profession and studying to be?
Political science and public administration.
There you go. Travis is a hot ticket. He is the co-founder of the Millennial Professional Group of Rhode Island, which is, on executive summary, described as what?
It's a generational organization that is inspiring millennials to stay in Rhode Island.
Got it. Before we get into the core issue, you guys have something to reconcile here. You are on the older end of the millennials.
Generation X side of millennials.
It's not polite to ask a woman how old she is, but I'm going
34, everybody.
There you go. Congratulations.
I do not care. Thank you.
You are.
How old are you, Dan?
I am 55.
Nice.
So
nice. That's awesome.
As you were almost suggesting you're old enough to be his mother,
yeah,
I am definitely old enough to be your father.
Baby Travis across the table.
And how old are you?
25.
All right. Well, that's very
yeah,
good.
Exactly.
Steve, how old are you?
I know you're doing that like 9 or 10.
It's funny though, just on the whole millennial thing, because it's going to come into play here. You feel kind of funky being in that statistical category, right?
I didn't even know. I was told. It's like, no, come on. Googled it and was like, wow, 81, huh?
Well, did it bother you?
Would you look at that? No, I was misrepresenting myself as a Gen Xer, and I'm not. I mean, if I'm millennial, I mean, get on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Be proud of that.
Well,
especially now since I know you. Hello. Come on. Hook me up. Make me want to stay, Travis.
Yes, because she's leaving.
We're going to do our best.
Yeah.
She's leaving, she says. This whole millennial conversation, I'll get back to it, because Travis and I, we don't see eye to eye very much on the generation at this point. I'm not.
You?
My executive summary on millennials is that they've got a very nice horizontal asset sheet. They do not go vertically very well. They do not think very deeply. They're easily distracted, and hard work is something that is rare when it comes to millennials. And I know that drives you crazy when I say that, right?
Myself and a lot of peers that watched the last show, they were like, we cannot believe that Dan sort of believes that. But you're not alone. There's a lot of older curmudgeons that believe that way.
I never did.
Oh, I'm a millennial just like Travis.
I never did think that I would be old enough to be sitting here talking about kids today and how bad they are. But you know what? The life cycle moves on for everybody, and even young baby boomers, I am a young baby boomer, have their issues. You're leaving on a jet plane or a train or a bus or whatever.
Probably just going to drive my car, but.
You're leaving to go to Virginia.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's more affordable for me there.
Thus
and it's close enough. So my son's father is very much involved in his life and mine, and so we could still make the drive so that they could see each other somewhat regularly.
Right, you're a single mom.
Yeah.
This is all stated last week. And you came on the show to talk, with Jim Reisick at the Coalition for Homeless, to talk about the real challenges for working people who can't afford a roof over their head,
Right.
correct?
Correct.
So lay out what your issue problem is.
So I was really trying to be the face of the data to make it real, because it's real. And I'm not making minimum wage, but I don't make the $19.06 that it would take to stay here. And so we talked about search engines last time. So when I go on Zillow or Apartments.com or Apartment Guide or Realtor, I come up with no results in the entire state of Rhode Island or Mass or Connecticut.
No results for what?
For my criteria, for a 2-bedroom with what I can afford in an area that I could send my son to school, or he could be home for an hour or two after school while I'm at work, and I wouldn't be worried about him.
Okay.
But in Virginia, I have hundreds and hundreds of places, and it's not just Virginia.
So
it's a
here's
bunch
the
of states.
hard question, and I don't ask it to antagonize. I ask it because I know people on the other side of the screen are asking it right away. Whose problem and/or whose fault is that?
It's no one's problem but mine. So that's why I found the solution, and I'm going to leave the state. It's unfortunate, because I'm a fantastic resident for the state of Rhode Island. They're going to see me go. I'm not asking for anything. I mean, Jim asked me on last week just to humanize your data that you were talking about. I don't think that anyone should think that I'm asking for a handout in any way, shape, or form. Though if you can find a way for me to stay, hook me up, Travis.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
do you have a thought?
I mean,
on
I'm just
just
not
what you're
alone.
hearing
Like,
right now?
I'm one of thousands.
Yeah,
So.
so the reason why we started the organization is really raise awareness about this issue of a lot of young people just leaving the state because of a lack of opportunity. The housing issue alone is not just affecting millennials, it's for everyone. We need to make housing affordable for everyone. 40% of Rhode Islanders are cost burden. That's the most in New England. And there are a lot of people like Kristen that are deciding to go elsewhere. It's a huge issue that our elected officials, our community stakeholders really need to focus on. If Rhode Island is going to be able to improve our economy, we need to retain our young talent.
I don't know that this is a Rhode Island exclusive problem.
So there is data out there that suggests that millennials like to move around. But for Rhode Island, we need to do our best to retain our young talent. I mean, yeah, housing all across the country is unfortunately rising. But we need that young talent to stay here. We need to be able to be competitive with the rest of New England and the rest of the world. We can't just sit at the bottom of America's business climate. And you look at all of the colleges and universities that we have here, it is just a natural fit to try to do everything we can to convert those individuals that are part of our seasonal economy to invest full time. I talked to an individual that was looking to get interested with the Millennial Professional Group, and I asked her, and this would relate to your many comments about our political climate. I asked her, who her state rep is. She rents in the city of Providence, and she didn't have an answer. She knew who the mayor was, she knew who the governor is, she knew who her senator, etc. But she didn't know who her state rep was or her state senator was. And I asked why, and she said, "Well, I don't own here, and maybe if I owned my house, I would have more investment of my local political community."
Well,
and as you know,
yeah.
we need more individuals to be invested in our local political community, General Assembly.
Well, to your point, it's a little bit of distraction, but last night's show, if you missed it, and you can always watch our shows on foxprovidence.com, we had our professor from MIT who plays in this online arena where you can predict the outcome of the presidential race, right? But what he was saying is that the predicting factor in a lot of ways is whether people have money in the game, and they pay more attention to issues if they have money in the game. Meaning they do more homework if they have something invested in a predictive decision, right? Well, in the same sense, your scenario there is along the same line. If you own, you may pay more attention. And that's just not a millennial thing. That is a human thing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't own.
Correct.
Are you paying attention to the issues?
I mean, it's what I study, so I am. But not as much as I would if I knew I was going to stay.
And you're studying political science.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to pause here. When we come back, we're going to talk about choices, fields of study, and knowing what the landscape is. Stay with us. Kristen Roy is here. She's leaving. I don't know how. That's terrible. So Kristen was here last week, putting a face on the challenge of housing. And listen, I don't want to diminish this because I know this is true. We have in the broadcast world, I will tell you, young professionals in the broadcast world don't make a ton of dough. So I've seen them over. I didn't make a ton of dough. My first full-time job was $200 a week. I'm telling you right there. It got me to 5 figures, 10 grand. That's it. And now I'm making 12, which is huge. It's unbelievable 30 years later. Look, every industry has its challenges. Some industries pay pretty well when you get out. You're in a pretty good shape. Others don't. What you want to do, what brings meaning to your life, is as much important part of your decision as anything else. But one of the things that Travis and Kristen, I'd like you to react to is choice of career and how $19 an hour, and Steve, you can pop that up again, and we can also show up the Connecticut, Massachusetts number. That is the Coalition for the Homeless's published number, research. That's the amount of money you got to make per hour to have a 2-bedroom apartment over your head. And that's not an insignificant number. I mean, if you do the math at $19 an hour, it's about almost $800 a week. You got to make about 40 grand in order to be able to survive. You're a pharmacy tech, which is a wonderful job, but a hard job, on your feet constantly. It doesn't pay a lot. You want to study. You're studying political science. What do you want to do when you grow up after 34?
Wow, and I finally grow up in my mid-30s. I want to do something with policy analyst, something like that.
Have you studied what the economics of that career are?
Yeah. And so then I thought, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go do something that's more than, like 18 months at a time and unsure and
right.
Not really stable. I didn't know that
You're
going into it. I was like, I need something long term because I have a kid. I can't be like, well, in 18 months, I don't know where I'm going to go.
You're interested in politics, in policy, but you've got to make decisions about what makes sense for you and your child.
Right, exactly.
A lot of young people come out of college. What do you do? Remind me.
I studied political science and public administration at Rhode Island College. I'm currently working for United Way doing public policy.
Okay. And by the way, Rhode Island College, where you're both attending, correct, is, I think, one of the best bangs for the buck you can get educationally, period. It is a phenomenal decision. Well, the tuition's not going to break your bank.
Yes.
And it's a very good, URI, same thing. URI, even CCRI to a certain extent, bridging to Rick and to URI, no one should look down their nose at those institutions. They are phenomenal institutions. But I can tell you, I do guest speaking at colleges on a pretty regular basis. Before we get into topic, politics, whatever, I ask them about their economy model and what their expectations are for living afterwards. They have no idea. A lot of them don't have any idea what their chosen occupations or majors to occupations actually will earn them. They have no idea what rent is. That $19 an hour thing would be clueless. They don't understand that 40 grand a year is really net at their tax level, probably 32 at best, and that and after you have a car to get around and gas prices and feed yourself and actually have a roof over your head.
Student loan debt.
The student loan debt, and then all of a sudden you think because you're going to be working for a living that you're going to be partying your tail off with your buddies and your friends, and all of a sudden you don't have $1 for a beer. They all kind of go, oh, and some I know have actually said, well, maybe I don't want to do this for a living. I don't want to dominate the conversation with this speech, but this is a chronic problem. The public schools don't do it. Even the colleges don't do it. They don't spend any time talking about the reality economics of working in this modern economy. So react to that. Do you find a lot of your peers are kind of like, geez, I really wanted to do this, but I can't afford it?
Well, I decided to do political science and public administration knowing it wasn't going to give me a luxurious life. I did it because my mother was an advocate to raise awareness against domestic violence. I was inspired by the 2008 Barack Obama campaign. So that was sort of like my heart driven, knowing that I was never going to make a ton of money. I was just doing it because I believe in giving back to the community. There are a ton of people.
Yeah, but how are you getting by? I don't want to. I mean, Kristen's been a very
I
personal.
was-
You
I
go as
was-
far as you want to.
I
but-
was an AmeriCorps worker making less than $8 an hour. It was $5 an hour after you did it. I was a community organizer making very, very little money. How I was able to really get by is I had a mentor at Rhode Island College. He had a room offered for rent, and it was really affordable
Do you share living expenses with somebody, or are you on your own?
Yes, I do share it. So I do have
Okay,
a
so he's
roommate.
sharing.
Yeah.
I'm
You're not.
sharing.
You're
Yeah.
sharing with a friend.
Sharing, yeah.
Okay.
And
Or
there's
I
a
would have
high-
already had to leave.
And
So
there's a
you
high
have to
demand.
depend on others in order to keep a roof
Right.
over your head.
Yeah.
And that was one of your points,
Yeah,
right?
which it leaves me feeling very vulnerable. And if I were just single and 25, I'd be like, oh, well, I guess I can go live somewhere else.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
my considerations are far different from Travis's.
Because
where
you have a child.
I have a child, and it can't just be any studio apartment where it's a great room to rent in a house full of a bunch of other people. I can't consider that
Right.
simply because I'm a mom. So, or the
Yeah.
neighborhood and the school system and all of that comes
Yeah,
into play.
and Rhode Island needs to focus on meeting that need. That is actually the growing demographic that we're seeing in Rhode Island. We need to make one bedrooms affordable. I think micro lofts would be affordable micro lofts, not luxurious micro lofts that are getting created in the downtown area right now. Affordable micro lofts.
What do you want to do? You want to build. Look, when it comes to Section 8 housing, right, and it comes to all that kind of stuff, there's all sorts of like, whoa, towns get very upset about federally subsidized housing in their upper middle income neighborhoods. I've always kind of picked at communities that are a little bit too haughty about that, because while I don't have exactly the view you do on housing issues, I do think that making accommodations for as many populations as we can is a good thing for the economy.
Yeah.
But what do you want to do with the whole young person challenge? You want to build campuses for young people? Because neighborhoods matter, right?
Yes.
Neighborhoods matter. You want to be in a safe neighborhood, A, for yourself, and certainly B, for your child.
Of course.
You want to be in a safe neighborhood. Everybody wants to be in a safe neighborhood. The less expensive housing tends to be in neighborhoods that are not as well kept and tougher, criminally, safety-wise. So what is your vision on the micro lofts and the one bedrooms and the two bedrooms? Do you want to build millennial campuses, places that are built and marketed for a generation of working professionals who need help? What do you want?
I think that's definitely part of the conversation. We have a aging housing stock. We need to rehabilitate a lot of the housing stock that we have. We need to create more housing options. We need a housing bond on the ballot. Solving this housing issue, again, which is not just hurting young people, it's hurting everybody. There's a lot of initiatives that we collectively as a community can do to tackle, to make sure that housing is affordable for everyone.
Yeah, well, you just keep, you know what? You're going to be a good policy wonk. You know why? Because you're talking generalities, which is something that you and I are going to do a lot of shows, man.
So I will say,
because you have a big, you have a gravitas and a skill set that I know is going to make you a significant leader in this community. But you got to be careful not to get into the 36,000 foot conversation. I'm asking for a specific solution. You're telling me there are many.
We
When we
need
come
to
back,
bring-
he better doggone give me one.
We need-
Help Kristen. We'll be right back. Don't. I told you we weren't going to solve anything, but at least this has got your wheels turning. And if you have a response to any of the questions and answers that we have here on this how do young people afford to live around here conversation, let us know. Just contact us through the website at foxprovidence.com. Or, of course, you know where I am on the radio each day from 3 to 6. And that's I think we should probably bring this conversation to the radio show as well. Kristen is a single mom. She's a pharmacy tech. She's studying political science. She says she's leaving because she can't afford to live here. Travis is running a great millennial group and is a really, I think, a really smart, upstart policy guy in town. But I just figuratively beat the tar out of him because I'm tired of the general answers. Specifically, I asked if you want to build millennial campuses. You said, okay. What do you want to do, man? I mean, if you had the 30-second solutions, what would they be?
Oh, it's not even a 30-second solution. We need to get rid of the barriers that are stopping developers to actually build housing stock here.
What are
There's
the
just
barriers?
so many.
What are the barriers?
from what I read from reports and talking to individuals, it's just not easy enough. It's just not cost effective for a lot of developers to actually build in Rhode Island. They'd much rather
So you want to
go
subsidize the building economy to build the kind of stuff. You want more subsidy for public housing.
We need
is
more
what you
cranes in
want.
the sky. We need more. We need more investment in building affordable housing. That is going to help out our community. That's going to help out Rhode Island. That's going to be big. But we need a long-term strategy. We need different partners to come together from the private and the public sector. And it can't be just a short-term, have a bond on the ballot every 4 years. It needs to be a long-term, sustainable effort to make sure housing is affordable for everyone.
Okay, you're killing me because I'm not getting anything from you on that.
There's
I'm
so
not getting anything.
many types of solutions.
Your situation, you categorize it as hopeful, helpless. What is it?
Just matter of fact. I mean, I guess it'd be hopeful for me. I feel fortunate that I can relocate. I have a job that's nationwide, so I can transfer and I can find my own solution. It's not ideal, but I can find a way out. Not everybody can, so. Though it's unfortunate, it's fortunate for me, in a way. So nothing's hopeless.
Well, you know, I actually had the impression last week that you were crying. You're not. I'm listening now. You're much more pragmatic.
Yeah, I got that you had that.
Well, well, you know, I spend a little bit more time and listen a little bit to what you're saying. You're very practical and very pragmatic. My
True.
instinct
Thank
is
you.
that you're incredibly hireable too.
I
and
sure
that,
am.
And then you got a lot. I mean, you're very, very. You got an old soul, I can tell. Right?
Yeah,
And you probably
and
got
I'm
a lot
a
of
type A
skills.
too. I'd give Jeannie from your last segment a run for her money.
Right? That was like yesterday. We tape 2 shows a day. Don't confuse the audience.
Sorry, folks.
I just don't, I mean, the kid issue is always hard. I get it. You know, life comes at you. You
Yeah.
can't make predictions. But I wouldn't worry about you.
Thanks.
And that goes to it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, the economies and the subsidies and everything else. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Go win. Right? I mean, we're going to get voted.
Well, it's
no,
not
that's not
necessarily
what- that's not
about
what
that.
I
I mean, it's about, so people can win, but they're choosing not to win in Rhode Island. They're choosing to go elsewhere.
Well,
Well,
you know
see,
what?
that's
In
a
the old
different matter
days,
than
people
me,
worked
'cause I
3
would
jobs,
stay
you know, to build their lives. You know, and you know, and I walked uphill both ways and
Well,
4 feet
because
of
people
snow.
are being forced out. It's you know, our generation, the millennial generation, and I love that as I'm talking to you, you have your phone and you have a pad out. You're being very millennial right now. Our generation are go-getters, we're hustlers, and we understand that we can move anywhere, we can work anywhere. So there's a lot of individuals that are deciding to leave Rhode Island because the stagnant incomes, the high student loan debt, we ranked fourth in student loan debt. And
Well, sometimes you have to stick around in order to carve out a niche and be a success too.
I mean,
You know?
that's what
an
I'm trying to
individual
do,
decision.
and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create
When
a
are you
network
leaving?
that does that.
Not till I graduate next spring.
All right, so we'll stay in touch.
Perfect.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me
I
back.
appreciate that. You, I ain't done with you. Final word when we come back, Steve. What was I saying? We're back. Hey, listen, you have a great week. You know, this challenge of young people, housing, professional choices, economy is a really important conversation. So we'll have more of it on the radio and on the television. I thank you so much for watching.